One of the few privileges which certainly exists in life is associated with having better looks. And yet this privilege is more than just a privilege. It goes down to a very deep level, to an extent that while in our modern society we like to say that beauty is in the eye of the beholder, in fact it's far more complex than that, and beauty shows something of survival. If my body were to have the same presentation of DNA on my left hand and on my right, you would be able to superimpose a reversal of the left of my face onto the right of it. But if you were to do that, you'd form a different face, not mine, because the left of the body and the right of the body both interpret our DNA slightly differently. People who are more symmetrical have more robust DNA. That means that the chances of it expressing differently are less because the DNA is more fortified in what is actually produced by it. Robustness of DNA has often been associated with higher intelligence and with better health outcomes, whereby someone who has more robust DNA is more likely to survive longer on this earth. When we look within the career world, people who are better looking tend to make more and tend to have better opportunities. They also tend to have better opportunities in who they manage to pick as a life partner. Looks tend to be an advantage. Of course, within that, our DNA is much smarter than we might think, because if you look at your sister or your mother, you probably aren't going to find them sexually attractive. And if you were to kiss someone who is too close to your DNA, or even to smell their natural odor, you're likely to be somewhat repulsed by it, not to see them as a potential sexual partner. And that's an area where beauty can be in the eye of the beholder, as can some cultural norms change it. But health outcomes are quite associated with what we associate with beauty. Someone who is more beautiful is more likely to survive certain diseases, and is also more likely to live a longer life in general, so that they are more likely to have better health outcomes over time. Also, if someone is too thin or too fat, that same person is likely to have worse health outcomes going forward, which are likely to affect them negatively. Beauty is also associated with lower levels of insanity, of things going wrong in the brain, because a lot of what goes wrong in the brain consists not so much in genetics being wrong, but in the expression of that genetics, in the neurodevelopment of the brain in the womb occurring in such a way that things don't go perfectly, because robustness is associated with a brain which is well functioning and with a brain which is more intelligent. As I have gone through before, men and women have the same average intelligence, but men appear a lot more on the very top of the spectrum of the very intelligent, and more on the bottom of the spectrum of the very unintelligent, for the simple reason that men have less robust DNA, because women have two X chromosomes at the end, while a man has an X and a Y chromosome. Beauty within human selection shows something underneath it. It shows likelihood of survival. Beauty when it comes to food and to other such things, such as our surroundings, often is associated with what is likely to cause us to survive. Human beings love vistas. They like to see a lot of things. And yet, if you have a good view of the world around you, you're more likely to be able to see predators and prey. The sorts of things which attract us, which we find make us want to eat them or want to associate with them, are often things which are healthy for us within the evolutionary mindset and framework. If I were to show you something which is very beautiful and yet very deadly, you might have a shock and horror reaction. In fact, it's very literary to have something which is beautiful which is harmful. And when someone as a person is very beautiful, you might be extra cautious about their rejection of you. And people who are beautiful are often given the power to reject others, and are often given other privileges along with it, which are more likely to put them in a position of power over another, and to have them associated with that abuse of the power at times. So beauty is something which is there. It's not something simply in the eye of the beholder. And beauty seems to have an evolutionary function of the continuance of one's own gene line and the continuance of one's own life. That which is beautiful, that which is comfortable to someone who is well ordered, who does not have an abnormal psychology such as what we call mental illness, or things such as things which are addictions or negative for us. Within the ordinary environment, that which is beautiful is associated with that which is good for survival, that which is well ordered, that which is beneficial to us. That is what beauty ignites within us, a sort of transcendence, certainly, and a sense of the supernatural can certainly be present within it. The sense, in some cases, of a super predator which freezes us, and that can be a sense within it, that sort of goosebumps feeling of fear of something far greater than us. And yet that sense of greatness, that sense of power, that sense of something which is greater than us, is a sense of something which is likely to survive. It's a sense of survivability. Beauty and survivability are quite connected. That which is very disordered, that which is less symmetrical, that which is less beautiful, is less likely to survive as long as that which is. And we even carry that forward in our taking care of delicate things. If something is beautiful and delicate, we put special care into taking care of it, into making sure that it lasts, because we associate beauty with something lasting. Beauty is not something which is just subjective. There are subjective elements to it that are based on each of our individual experiences of the world. And yet there is an objective. You can see universally that certain people would likely be considered ugly in any society, in any culture, even if associating them might, from some taboos and some magical thinking, make it seem like they are good or better, because that magical thinking can affect their survivability, can make them more attractive, objectively speaking, in that society. But beauty is not simply subjective.